Hi guys, my name is Casey Willard and I will be going over the narratology game studies approach. What is narratology? Well, it is a formalist approach, which means that in the analysis, the game is the center of the study. So when we look at these games that I put on the next slide, we're going to look at the game as a whole, and that will be the center of what we analyze. Narratology is also a storytelling device. The game is basically a narrative. You can study it like a film or a novel. So when you see some of the games that I present to you, you can see that it's almost as if it is a movie and you are just interacting with the movie. As for it being a narrative, that means that it's pretty much always going to have an ending that is set. What that means is that no matter what choices you make, it will always lead to the same ending or somewhere close to that. Um, so you can interact with different things and it could have an effect, but pretty much you will end at the same spot. Which brings us to the past connects with the present. So the choices you make in the past will show in the future. So that is a definition of cohesion. So in a narrative, you have a sense of cohesion, and without a sense of cohesion, it won't even seem like a narrative. So you want it to seem as when you're playing that when you pick something like a choice you make in the past, you want to see it show an effect in the future so that it actually looks like you're playing through a story. Also, narratology is big on adventure, which, as Salter put it in the game, um, How to Play Video Games, it's exploration, conversation, and puzzle drives the story forward. That's big in one of the games I talk about in the next slide. It's kind of like you're exploring the narrative and really just interacting with it um, to drive the story to the end. So next, these are games that use narratology, or what I found that are pretty close to having that narratology feeling is Oregon Trail. That game is where a player takes a journey to Oregon, and so they're on a trail. The player picks the supplies, when to rest, when not to rest, how to travel through a river when the weather is super hot, where it's rainy, where the river seems to flood. So you make all these decisions based on what you're given. You also have recommendations. So they can say you have 8 people. We recommend that you get 2 pairs of clothes per person. So you have these recommendations, but pretty much you get a set amount of money and they let you decide how much you want to spend. So based on your decisions, you will have an outcome. Only two, you either make it to Oregon or everyone dies from getting sick, too cold, getting a disease. So Oregon Trail is really based on your decisions. I would say it's the game that is most based on your decisions out of the 4 that I chose to present. Because if you do choose wrong, I would say, then everyone will die. So you have to be really aware of what you're doing. Next is I'll Come Back to You. That is about a girl who studies music, and she messed up in one of her concerts a few months before graduating, and she feels that her career is over. Well, she travels back home for Christmas and she interacts with people in her hometown. So, um, the only it's very limited. So the only choices you have are pretty much to decide what you want to say back to the people that are talking to you. So it's very limited, unlike Oregon Trail, where you have pretty much everything is your decision. I'll Come Back to You um, is not like that. You pretty much have a set storyline um, to go through, and that and with I'll Come Back to You, I believe that one is the most movie like because it takes you through what the creators want you to see. There is no exploring, there's no interactions with things they don't want you to interact with. So that's why I believe that that's more of a narrative driven game, and you only get one outcome, and that's pretty much her parents tell her not to give up on the things she loves, and that she just needs to take a step back and figure out why she wanted to start getting herself involved with music. Next is King's Quest. This is a very adventure driven game. As Salter stated, the exploration, conversations, really getting interactive with the game. Um, in the chapter where Salter talks about King's Quest, they really focus on that the player is a participant of the game's narrative. So unlike I'll Come Back to You, where you're not as involved, King's Quest, you can get very involved in the game and make your choices, such as like Oregon Trail. The choices you make actually shape the ending of the story. Even though there is only one outcome, the protagonist survives, you can kind of shape the story and really work with that cohesion. Next is BioShock Infinite, and this one is pretty much environmental storytelling. And what environmental storytelling is when you can really interact with the game, but not only what the narrative is, you can kind of go off of that. So you can interact with video diaries, letters, things on the wall. You can pretty much interact with anything, and you actually get rewarded for interacting with things such as King's Quest. So what this does is it makes a map seem very big. However, the map is pretty limited. It limits your spatial freedom, but just because you can interact with so many things through the narrative, it makes the map seem much larger than it really is. And so what environmental storytelling does, although it limits your spatial freedom, it makes it seem like you have a greater depth in the narrative. So it makes it seem like you can interact more with everything, and you're really putting yourself as the player in the narrative and following along with that story. So that is the end of my presentation. My next thing is I'm going to take you through the game. I'll come back to you to really show you the decisions you can make and what it leads you to. But yeah, so I'm going to take you through that and kind of explain as we go. So here we are. So first it starts off with showing you that there is a piano on the screen, just to show you that she kind of give you a little glimpse that music will be involved. Mary plays the piano. So right away, you can see that it's kind of a feeling of a movie. You're on a bus going somewhere. You don't know where. I know I've already explained it, but you don't know where it's going. So it's giving you a little backstory of what happened. So it's very limited. So you can either use the space bar to interact, and you can move back and forth. So see, you can move back and forth. But it gives you these little things showing you that you can interact. That's where they want you to interact. So you press the space bar, and it gives you, so right now it's giving you a little backstory. It's showing that Mary is home for the holidays, and that she is visiting her mom and dad. She had a concert last month, but they haven't spoken since Thanksgiving. So she's saying that she threw away her dreams because she messed up at her last concert. But she's just trying to get through this one holiday. So this is 1 month earlier. This is her playing on the piano. And then she's crying. Sorry, I skipped that a little too soon, but it showed that she was crying. So she says, could that be any more embarrassing? So obviously we're getting hints that she messed up. And then she says, bombing my solo. She doesn't think she has a career anymore. But she's so close to graduation, and she'll have to start all over if she does switch from music. So some guy says, hey, I recognize you. So as I said, it's very limited, but you can pick what you what you want to say. So from where? That's what I'll put. So he saw her perform in a concert last month. She thinks he saw the one that she bombed. So she asked if it was that one. He says no. She says, oh, thank God. Yeah, that was a fun show he watched. So he loved her playing. So I'll have her ask, what did you like about it? It just made me feel so alive. So she's seeing that she does have talent. So we'll put that she's always wanted to be a jazz musician, but I didn't know if that was the path I'm headed down. He says you should keep at it. His father was a musician. And kudos to you for being brave enough to follow your dreams, because I'm assuming not a lot of people follow their music dreams. So now I will take you through the town. I won't show you all the interactions because it was pretty much just like the one with Nick. So yeah, I'll go through that and I'll show you when she gets in the house and the ending that is the only set ending that the creators want you to see. So we go through the vinyl store. You can interact with her old friends, interact with people at the coffee shop, and then this is her home. So I'm gonna go back and interact with everybody, and then I'll show you what the ending is supposed to be like. So now we're back at home. When I did interact with the other people in the game, it was pretty much all talk about music and how her music career is going. So she's pretty nervous that she thinks she's going to give up on her career, but she is home and she doesn't want to face her parents. Her parents were so excited when she got into music school, but it's not for her anymore, she thinks. She wishes she could go back before the concerts when she was younger. And then her dad hears her, come on in. She says it's only one holiday. She's going to try to pull herself together. Okay, so it takes you into the living room of their house. They're sitting on the floor. It is Christmas. So Merry Christmas. They got her a gift. So they did get her a record player. I'm going to say, wow. Beautiful, isn't it? I'm going to say, oh my gosh, Dad, is this first edition? I love it. So she thinks that she isn't the star he used to think she was. He says, don't be ridiculous. And I can either say, I don't think I have what it takes, or I bombed my big concert. So we'll say I bombed my big concert last month. He says, only one bad concert. It won't ruin your career. It was terrible in front of thousands of people. She doesn't think anybody will hire her. He wants to tell her a secret, and he wants to let her know that she has talent. Even if she doesn't have talent, she has the drive. And musicians make mistakes all the time. She believed in herself when she was 17 to make that choice, and her parents haven't stopped believing in her. And he wants her to know that just because she bombed her concert, that was in the past. They're with each other now. She's a success in their eyes. So then it just kind of goes right there. Then it goes to Mary's perspective on the piano. She used to think she was the next Hiromi, which I'm assuming is a great piano player. Basically looked like she was dancing when she played the piano. She thought when she headed off to college, she would show everyone how exciting and fearless jazz can be. But she realized it was competitive and maybe not the industry she thought it was. You can't make the best or the most perfect musician. You just have to have joy, spirit, and wonder. She thinks she did lose herself going into such a competitive industry. So she wants to be reminded of what she once had before she got into the industry and it was so competitive. She wants to understand why she loved it in the first place. So she's maybe taking a step back from piano and just letting herself rediscover why she started in the first place. So I've played it multiple times. Even when I make different decisions, it still comes back to that. The main point that the creators were trying to make is that when you love something, you can come back to it, or you can even take a step away from it. But in the end, you just have to realize why you started it in the first place and why you loved it. But yeah, other than that, that was pretty much my whole presentation. So I really hope you liked it. And that's it. Thank you.